Hello there, this is Tim Skinner here. I'm here at AfricaCom 2015 and today I'm speaking with Oliver Soellner, who's from Abox42. Hello Oliver.
Hello
Thank
Tim,
you for joining
nice
us
to meet you. Thanks.
So you're exhibiting here at AfricaCom this week. For viewers who may be unaware of Abox42, may you tell us a bit more about what you do and what you're doing here this week?
Of course. Abox42 is a German company. It was founded around 8 years ago. Started, let's say, in the early days of IPTV and, let's say, internet-based services, video distribution services. And in the meantime, it's a group of companies. Abox42 is mainly selling set-top box solutions, which contains of hardware, software, and a service part to operators on a worldwide basis. And our main customers are either IPTV operators or OTT providers, but there's also a number of, let's say, traditional operators who still run DVB, legacy DVB networks, and would like to move to more IP-based services.
And what are you doing then to facilitate that move from sort of legacy networks into a sort of a more 21st century technology then?
Exactly. Yeah. So on one hand, it's hardware related. So we still support with our hybrid product range, support legacy DVB networks, which either could be cable networks or terrestrial infrastructure, which is still appropriate in certain countries like Eastern Europe. You have a lot of DVB-T infrastructure. But it could be also satellite-based services. So we provide the hardware, which provides the capabilities to decode DVB-based video and broadcast signals. But also, and that's, let's say, basically the core technology where we come from is a strong IP. The strong IP part with a, let's say, decent software SDK, which provides all the functionalities and features which you need for a compelling and complex IPTV, OTT or a hybrid TV proposition.
Mm-hmm. And is that what you've been demonstrating this week at AfricaCom then? Why don't you tell us a bit more about some of the solutions that you're...
Yeah, sure. So I think we have a quite a nice demo running here, and it's a little bit special for the African market because you see in a lot of countries you have a quite mixed infrastructure. Yeah? You have parts which are, let's say, more the central areas where you have a good internet availability, decent bandwidth, but you also have, let's say, more on the countryside. You have, let's say, only little bandwidth, and it's quite complex to deliver TV products. And there we introduce, let's say, kind of technology and services which allows operators to provide IPTV to everyone, which makes use of, let's say, new technologies like adaptive bitrate streaming in combination with traditional, like we just said, hybrid propositions or IPTV multicast in a mixed environment, so that at the end of the day, as an operator, you can provide the best for every part of your network. Based on different technologies, but with the same user experience at the end of the day.
Right. And so you mentioned earlier then you serve a number of different types of television operators. So you have the OTT providers, which is a term that I still dislike.
Yes.
A lot of traditional IPTV operators, and then the sort of complete television operators. And one of the companies that we were just discussing off camera then is one of the major players, should we say, in both Germany and the UK, who seem to have the complete bundle. So what we're seeing in the telecoms world then is a lot of convergence. We all know about the BTEE acquisition, which is a TV and internet provider getting into mobile. But what about a number of mobile players who are getting into television? How has that affected Abox42 and how has that changed the industry?
Yeah, it's a great movement. We see in a lot of countries that, let's say, it's sometimes a regulatory issue that, let's say, mobile providers were not able to resell or sell DSL services or ISP services and telephony services. So we see the tendency that this more and more opens up in a lot of geographics, and for sure this is the first step for a nice TV proposition. As soon as the mobile operator has the chance to resell, let's say, broadband internet services, we are the ones who can provide based on different technologies, whatever is the best fit for the operator, for the mobile operator, we can provide a decent first screen solution, which is important for mobile operators, not only to have, let's say, a complete set of features and services, but also, let's say, to avoid people move to other providers because of the missing triple play or quad play offering. And that's what we definitely see a trend in this direction.
Yes, we're seeing a lot of that throughout the entire industry. Is this multiplay sort of convergence of services?
Definitely.
So, in your experience then with mobile operators who are making the switch into television, what's the traditional route into the market? Are they looking at taking on sort of small single features, or are they going for the whole big boom in terms of all the TV offerings?
Yeah, the nice thing is that there is no legacy, so they don't need to care of legacy, as we said before, legacy parts of the network or anything. They are quite often starting with a greenfield, just a new proposition, and that opens up a lot of possibilities, because let's say with platforms like we provide, with a, let's say, quite compelling software stack, you are able to build products today. Let's say even if you don't own all the services, you can even get this as a totally hosted solution, which includes the live TV part, let's say, where you, let's say, for sure have the traditional live TV experience, but you can also add functionalities like network PVR and let's say network time shift, which for sure changes the viewing behavior, because people for sure like to come home later and still start the show from the beginning, or watch a show which was on TV yesterday. Yeah. So these are services which we see there's a lot of request for this, and then for sure there are, let's say, third-party services entering this, let's say, TV propositions more and more, like third-party VOD services, because these mobile operators or the smaller medium-sized operators definitely cannot afford to run a VOD service by themselves with high minimum guarantees, with all the, let's say, complexity about the content rights and management of the content. So they are looking more for the integration of existing services, which have a nice marketing proposition, which own the content and have a nice service, and probably just concentrate on billing of these services instead of providing these services. So the products we see in this segment are containing 3-4 key elements, which is live TV, which is all the recording functionality stuff, which is more and more moving to the cloud. And then we have the third-party services arena, which is VOD, but it's also services like YouTube or others, which let's say at the end of the day, in a combination, are quite a compelling TV proposition.
With the introduction of a number of different players entering the TV market, it's undoubtedly going to be getting more competitive. And that's, you mentioned regulators just now, that's the regulatory dream, to have a very competitive market. I'm going to ask for your prediction then. In the next few years, let's say by 2020, how do you see the TV industry evolving in terms of sort of content delivery and the number of players who are in there?
Yeah, you definitely see consolidation going on. On one hand, it's of course, as you mentioned, it's the operator side, where let's say in a couple of countries and regions, smaller operators who started a certain, let's say, modern services, getting bought and getting integrated into bigger organizations, on one hand. On the other hand, it's also the let's say, our industry, where you see hardware companies, let's say, in consolidation mode, but that's especially because, let's say, the requirements changed a lot, and this, let's say, legacy projects where, let's say, also set-top box companies were involved in a 12 to 18 months project with a lot of specific development and, let's say, building up a unique solution for each operator. This time is over. So what we see is, let's say, the tendency to, let's say, operators are looking for platforms, are looking for environments where they can roll out projects much more quickly, within, let's say, 4 to 6 months is the average rollout timeline we see in the projects we do. And there is room for new players as well. Yeah? Consolidation with the traditional guys going on, but on the other hand, you see, let's say, new innovators who, let's say, don't have a lot of this legacy project complexity, and let's say we're able to build new solutions which probably more hit the market than the previous ones.
Right.
So it's a mix, but definitely it's challenging for everyone in every part of the ecosystem of such operator TV project. But we see our position more as the growing newcomer with a lot of new opportunities which we see today. I mean, we started a couple of years ago, and today we are running services and sell products on a worldwide basis. So I think we are one of the proofs that there is still room for newcomers.
Sure. So we're here at AfricaCom this week in Cape Town, and you're exhibiting as we previously discussed, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think the opportunities are for the African TV market and the growth opportunities that exist?
Yeah, I mean the opportunities are huge. For sure, you have to, let's say, still be patient because a lot of African countries, you still don't have, as we said before, not the infrastructure which allows, let's say, to distribute video content in, for example, HD quality or rather 4K Ultra HD. I think that's rather going into the, let's say, basic TV propositions in the beginning. But let's say over time, networks will improve, broadband connectivity will get better. So the opportunities in the next 5 years we see consider very positive. On the other hand, we see new trends as well. We see, as you said, mobile operators who also think about using mobile technologies, so LTE, 4G, even for first screen propositions for TV. We just are about to start a project in the African market, which is exactly using this type of technology.
Yeah.
So I think as a company like we are, you have to be flexible and you have to, let's say, see which countries, which regions are the front runners for these new technologies, and let's say looking at the first day and the discussions we had already today, I think there's a lot of movement, and you see a lot of operators even in countries where you would not expect it so far, which definitely think one step ahead and look into IPTV and IP-based services.
I think that's something you see particularly in a lot of African regions where they go, straight from nothing to LTE networks,
to something.
And they miss the legacy networks and go straight to that. So would you say that video over LTE is one of those sort of growing propositions in Africa, or is that still a bit early for that?
Yeah, it depends on. I mean, there are technologies today which allow to provide services, even kind of multicast services over LTE. We tested this in a couple of countries, and this works very well in the field. And now it's about the rollout. But for sure, this needs to be in a close conjunction with the operator, because at the end of the day, the question will be, how does the video distribution or video consumption of the people, how does this evolve? Let's say if you get offered nice services with live TV and other services aside, you usually tend to consume more, let's say, live TV content,
sure,
which people probably didn't do in the past. They were probably gathering together in front of one TV set and enjoying it together.
Yeah.
Probably in the next couple of years, this will, let's say, more move to the individual homes, which for sure has an impact on the network. So this needs to grow step by step, I believe. But we definitely see a tendency that either LTE, but also other, let's say, wireless technologies could be a good, at least a bridge technology for a couple of years. Yeah.
Brilliant. And just finally then, how do you see shows such as AfricaCom, these big meeting places where multiple different industry stakeholders can come together, how do you see that advancing the TV market in Africa?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to be here and to exhibit. It's the first time for us this year in this region. We have a couple of projects, but let's say what we for sure would like is to get more, let's say, information about the market, about the players. And I think for the operators and broadcasters, media companies, it's a great opportunity to get a quite good overview about technologies, about possibilities, and I think it's a great event. I mean, we will definitely come back.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks.